Welcome to the Hearthstone How to Become an Arena Legend panel.
Welcome to BlizzCon, everybody. My name is Mike Donnet, Senior Game Designer on Hearthstone. I'm joined today by two expert Hearthstone players. We have Trump. Trump is from Team Solo Mid, and he's well known for having created many of the spreadsheets and videos that you use to learn about Arena. And I'm joined by Hafu from Team Cloud9, one of the top 20 Arena players in the world. Today we're going to tell you why we love Hearthstone. We're going to tell you why you should love Hearthstone. There's millions of people that are enjoying it. Trump, why don't you tell me why you love Hearthstone?
Wow, why do I love Hearthstone? So I've always liked card games and turn-based strategy games in general. I've come from a Magic the Gathering background, and it just came naturally that I would like to play Hearthstone with my background in World of Warcraft. And it's just so much strategy, so simple to get into. The interface is great. It's great for streaming. People love watching it. There's just so many good things to say about it.
Hafu, what about you?
Hearthstone's actually my first card game, and I actually lost to the tutorial on stream, so that was pretty embarrassing. But it's so simple, yet so challenging, with a much higher skill cap than people give it credit for.
There's so many things to love about Hearthstone. I liked all your answers. I'm going to tell you what we're going to do today. We're going to give you some pro tips, help you, if you're new to Hearthstone, understand why it's great and why Arena is great. We're going to talk about all the Goblins versus Gnomes cards that have been spoiled so far and why they're awesome in Arena and which ones you should pick. And then we're going to build an Arena deck together on live. First, let's talk about what class you should pick. Hafu, why don't you start us off?
I think at first you should probably pick whatever you're comfortable with, but then when you develop a play style, you should maybe, if you want to play an aggressive deck, try Hunter. It's really, really fun. Maybe Warlock can pick really low drops. If you want to play something slower, control-y, try Paladin or Priest or Druid, one of those.
Yeah, as far as classes go, I definitely agree with just starting to play one that you're comfortable with and then get to know it a bit more. A lot of people suggest Mage as a good starting one, and I agree. It's got some basic spells which are simple and easy to understand. You got the good old Flame Strike, you wipe everyone out. But I've actually kept really close track of my statistics, and I will say that Mage is not in my upper 50% of like best classes. So all of the classes are viable. You really should just pick something that you like and enjoy. And like Hafu said, there are some that are more control-oriented, and then there's some that are more rush-oriented if you want to go in that direction.
Everyone has different play styles. Play what you're good with, play what you're comfortable with, or try out something new. It's up to you. Next, let's talk about mana curve. Very important part.
Yeah, my favorite card.
Zombie Chow.
I hate that card.
Why do you like this card so much, Trump? Tell me about mana curve in this card.
Well, Zombie Chow is awesome because it's one of the best neutral cards in terms of statistics for mana, and that's generally what you're looking for in Arena. And there's so few good one-drops that the Zombie Chow is just something that you can start off so strong, trade against the opponent's 2-drop, and then just keep staying ahead from there. 1 mana, 2/3, that's really good.
What about you, Hafu? You said you don't like this card.
I think it's a really strong card, and I do pick it a lot in Arena. But maybe it's a little bit overrated, just because if you don't play it on turn 1, the effect is quite bad, especially if you play more aggressively, as I tend to do. So,
Do you guys have any more tips about mana curve in general that we should talk about?
Yeah. After Naxxramas came out, in general, there were more early game cards like Zombie Chow and like Spectral Creeper, and it's become more and more important to me to have more 2-drops. I used to think like 5 or 6 2-drops were enough, and I usually gave a range of 6 to 8. Nowadays, I like to make sure that that range is very solidly 7 or more, like 7, even 8, and even 9. And you want to have like some amount of 3-drops as well. You can't ignore that, say 3 or 4. How about yourself, Hafu? What do you think about 2 costs?
I think 8 is way too many, and I think it actually should depend a little bit on the class too. Some of the hero powers are better than others. For example, like Shaman and Paladin, you're putting something on the board, whereas if you don't actually have a 2-drop on Priest, and you like heal yourself or you heal your opponent and you're sad. Yeah, I think it's much more important on those classes, but I think you need at least, 4 or 5 2-drops.
What about 1-drops?
I think playing a 1-drop in turn 1 is fine, especially 2 ones. I mean, if you think about value, right? It's 3 stats for 1 mana. That's triple the mana. Oh my gosh, the value. But I don't think Trump agrees with me with the 2 1s, although I think that even though they're definitely not better than 3 2s, it's okay to have 1 or 2.
You know what value is? Value is using your hero ability to knock out one of those 2 1s for free. So I have been thinking a lot about this recently, and like there's some arguments about card advantage or like tempo advantage. You play your 1-drop, they have to coin hero ability, or they have to spend 2 mana to kill their 1-drop. Like to some extent, you gain an advantage, and I can start to understand that now. Speaking of Zombie Chow, that's 5 times the mana that you put in terms of stats. So good.
One thing about Arena is there's different play styles. It sounds like Hafu's more of an aggressive player. She tries to take the tempo advantage with the 2 1s, while Trump is more of a value player. He tries to control the board and get card advantage over the long term. Both are valid strategies. Sometimes with different classes or different decks, you're going to switch between those strategies. Something you'll learn over time by just playing a lot of runs. Let's move on to how to catch up. When you get behind an arena, it can be really frustrating. You get behind just by missing your 2-drop or something like that. What kind of cards and what kind of strategies can you use to catch up? Hafu?
You can definitely rely on AoE. That's probably the easiest one. You clear everything off the board. As some of you might know, Flame Strike is absolutely ridiculous in Arena. But I don't know. You should really know what's in your deck, though, and have a plan on how to catch up. So if you don't have AoE, you have to realize, oh, I'm not going to be able to deal with this flooding. I have to start trading so that my opponent doesn't get favorable trades. And if you have a lot of AoE, you can just kind of sit back and let them flood the board and then take everything out at once. So just have a plan.
Yeah, I think that's part of the loveliness of Arena. Like, you can always have such different decks. It's different every time. That's also why I value good 1-drops so much, like the non-2-1 ones. Like, I will really highly pick Worgen Infiltrator, which is a 2-1, but it's stealth, so you can actually selectively trade the Zombie Chow. And that's how, like, this is a slight detour, but when you fall behind, it's somewhat difficult to come back. So that's why I value just having so many early game plays. So that's why I have a bit more 2s than Hafu might play, just so you don't fall behind. If you play a 2 and they don't play a 2, then you're looking pretty good, especially if you have a mana curve to follow that up.
So weapons, area spells, not getting behind is a really important strategy too, like Trump said. By playing things like Zombie Chow, or even other 1 or 2 drops, just make sure you don't get behind. If you do get behind, use cards like these, like Mind Control Tech. Why are you shaking your head, Hafu?
I freaking hate Mind Control Tech so much. I think that is my most hated card in Hearthstone. I don't think I am salty about any other card other than MC Tech. When they take... Oh my gosh.
Did you lose to it once?
Oh my gosh.
Did you lose to it a few times?
I've lost to it in ridiculous ways. And it's just the worst. Once you lose to it once, I think you start becoming so paranoid. You're like, stop hero powering. If you're a paladin or shaman, you're like, no, it's okay. Don't want to take that risk.
It sounds like I should pick Mind Control Tech then.
You probably should.
All right. Now we're going to talk about the Goblins versus Gnomes cards. Yesterday, about 25 Goblins versus Gnomes cards were revealed. Very exciting to talk about those in Arena for the very first time with 2 of the Arena experts. Goblins versus Gnomes is the new expansion, and we're going to start by going through those cards. Mech Warper, your mechs cost 1 less. Shrinkmeister, a priest card. Battlecry, shrinks a minion, gives it -2 attack. And Fairy Dragon, that you all know. Trump, what do you think of these 3 cards?
All right, all of these cards also have different valuations in constructed, so I'll start off by saying that we'll be giving it a more arena-looked base. So Mech Warper, for example, it might be a top pick in Constructed, you build in a mech deck in Arena, you're going to have some mechs, and it itself is a mech, which is going to benefit a lot of the other Arena cards, which are coming out in this expansion. Shriekmeister, though, is definitely the card to pick. It is really strong in Arena. In Arena, I'm just looking for those individually strong cards like Yeti or just really good basic cards. Shriekmeister, 2 mana, 3/2, that's already good. And on top of that, the battle cry is insane. The way I would think of it in Arena is it's like a 3/4 for 2 mana if you play it with a minion, because it's going to take 2 less damage when you attack with that minion into the shrunken enemy's minion.
Sounds really good. What about you, Hafu? What do you think of these cards?
I'm just going to have to disagree that it's a 3/4, just because you do have to have board control to kind of benefit off that. But, I mean, it's really ridiculous on Priest, because it is a Priest class card, just because it goes so well with Cabal Shadow Priest. You can start just taking Yetis. Like, to me, that's just going to be so, oh my goodness. But,
that's a lot of value.
It's a lot of value.
Yeah, Shriekmeister combos with a lot of Priest cards, Shadow Word Pain, Cabal Shadow Priest, etc. So, sounds like Shriekmeister is your pick here. Great. Let's move on to the next one. We have Bomb Lobber. He comes into play, he throws a bomb, deals 4 damage to a random enemy minion. Goblin Blast Mage. His battle cry is, if you control a mech, deal 4 damage, randomly split amongst enemy characters. It fires out 4 little bombs. And Twilight Drake. Hafu, what do you like from these?
I really like the Goblin Blast Mage. I think it's pretty ridiculous. 5/4 for 4 is already great for stats, and the battle cry just makes it kind of ridiculous. I mean, you can't reliably get a mech on the board, but even so, I feel like Bomb Lobber is a bit less consistent.
All right, what about you, Trump?
Yeah, I definitely agree with the assessment that the Goblin Blast Mage is going to be one of the top cards to pick for Mage in Arena now. I'm sure... Do you know any statistics about how often we're going to have a mech out?
Well, it depends if you're playing against someone who likes board control. Like, the thing is, if you've got a lot of mechs, Goblin Blast Mage obviously will be better. There's about one third of the minions in Goblins versus Gnomes are mechs, so keep that in mind.
Yeah, that looks really consistent. So, I mean, 4 mana 5/4 is good as is. That ability on top is just gravy. I will also mention Bomb Lobber, I think, is an excellent card. And the way I evaluate cards is, like, I'm going to think of that battle cry as worth something around 2 mana. So it's like a 3 mana 3/3, and you get an additional draw the 2 mana, deal 4 damage to a random enemy minion, and you get to play it. So when you package those into a card, those tend to be really strong.
They're all strong cards. Sounds like I would take Blast Mage if I had lots of mechs, and maybe Bomb Lumber if I don't. Let's go on to the next one. We got Micro Machine. At the start of each turn, that's your turn and your opponent's turn, he gets +1 attack. So the first time you attack with him, he'll be a 3/2. Piloted Shredder. His Death Rattle summons a random 2-cost minion. That's a minion, any 2-cost minion in the game, any class, and Silver Moon Guardian. Hafu, what do you think of these cards?
I think the Micro Machine is cute, but I think Piloted Shredder is ridiculous. It's kind of like a crazier Harvest Golem at 4 mana. I think we talked about this earlier, but it's probably better than a Yeti now. So this is the new staple, go-to neutral 4-drop in Arena.
Better than Yeti. It looks like a lot of fun too. What do you think about the random craziness about in it?
Yeah, that's really cool. I will also state that Micro Machine, when I first looked at it, I thought it sucked, but at the start of each turn, it turns out. So that card's actually really good in Arena also, since at worst, it's a 2 mana 2/2 on the opponent's turn, but you let that stay for just 2 turns, it builds up really, really quickly. But yes, Piloted Shredder is absolutely insane. And don't worry, guys, I did the math. I looked up all of the 2-cost minions you can get, and it turns out that the average that you can get is somewhere around a 2.25/2.25 in attack and health. So if you add that onto the Piloted Shredder, we're going to just round down, that's a 6/5 in value for 4, which is way better than Yeti.
That sounds like a lot of value if everything works out for you.
Yep, and Here's some other cool things. Like you can get Millhouse Mana Storm with it, which is a 2-mana 4/4. The battle cry doesn't come into play. So that's insane. That's the best case. You can also get a Warlock class card like Succubus, get a 4/3. Those are the two best case scenarios. And of course,
Doomsayer.
oh, that's, well.
Doomsayer does seem a little wacky. Also, Lorewalker Cho seems like an interesting option there. Lots of cool options. What I like about Piloted Shredder is that you end up in a situation that you're not expecting. You have these creatures in play that you're not used to playing, or maybe from a different class, and that makes for like really skill testing and fun situations.
And it's also really cool. Like it brings a little bit of arena into Constructed, where you're going to come up with a lot of different situations.
Definitely. Next we have Cogmaster. He gets +2 attack while you have another mech in play, or a mech in play. Clockwork Gnome. His Death Rattle, he adds a random spare part to your hand. And Leper Gnome. What do you think about these cards, Trump?
All right, well, first of all, before evaluating these cards, we're going to need to know what a spare part is.
Excellent question. I have a slide prepared for you. What are spare parts? Spare parts, they're 1-cost spells. There's 7 of them. They're small power level. Here's the 2 simplest ones. Whirling Blades gives a minion +1 attack. Armor Plating gives a minion +1 health. Rusty Horn gives a minion taunt. Emergency Coolant freezes a minion. Finicky Cloak Field gives a minion stealth until the end of your turn. It's only friendly minions. Reversing Switch swaps a minion's attack and health. This one has tons of possibilities, very skill testing. And Time Rewinder returns a friendly minion to your hand.
Wow, these are cool. I'd like to say that this really fits in with the flavor of the expansion, and on top of that, it's a really cool way of adding something that's like draw a card, but it's not a card, it's just a spare part. And I look at these and I'm like, all right, so how much of a card is this worth? Because it's not worth a full card. These cards are not as good as cards, but they are something. So I have to think of something like maybe they're worth 1/4 of a card or maybe half a card. So somewhere around there is what I value them at.
All right, sounds good. Now that we've seen spare parts, what would you pick here?
So here I think I'm going to go with the Cogmaster. It's kind of situational. If I have a deck with mechs in particular, I will definitely choose the Cogmaster over the Clockwork Gnome. Since the Clockwork Gnome is still just a 1-mana 2/1, and then when it dies, you draw, like we're going to say, you draw 1/3 of a card. So maybe the card is worth 5/6 of a card since it's a 1-mana 2/1.
Interesting. What about you, Hafu?
I like 2/1s, and I think Clockwork Gnome is incredible. And I also want to point out that it's a mech, and we've seen that a lot of these cards combo with having a mech out already. It's a cheap mech, so I think that gets it bumped up a few notches. I think the spare parts really give you more answers to kind of play around what they're doing. So I don't know. I really like the spare part of it, spare parts part of it, and I really like that it's a 2/1 for 1. I think it's really strong.
So if you need a mech, maybe choose Clockwork Gnome. If you already have some mechs, maybe pick Cogmaster. Also depends how aggressive your deck is, what you need. Next we have Explosive Sheep. Death Rattle deals 2 damage to all minions, and it's a mech. Annoyatron, another mech, with Taunt and Divine Shield. And Ironbeak Owl. What do you think of these cards, Hafu?
I think while the Annoyatron is very cute, maybe if you have many, many buff cards, like in Paladin, if you have multiple Blessing of Kings, stuff like that, maybe like Cult Masters, then you can consider taking the Annoyatron, but generally you don't ever want to pass AoE, and Explosive Sheep is a very cheap and efficient AoE. The only downside is you don't get to control it unless you're playing like a mage and you can just hero power it yourself. But I still think for 2 mana, that's like a ridiculous death rattle.
What about you, Trump?
Yeah, Hellfire is a good class card for Warlock, and now we've got something neutral that you get to play for half the cost. So I really think Explosive Sheep is a top pick. Annoyatron, I think in Arena it tends to be more close to like 2 Goldshire Footmen, which is not too exciting.
Okay, well, Explosive Sheep, one of your AoEs that you badly need in Arena, helps you catch up. Sounds good. It's also a mech. Next we have Spider Tank, 3/4 with no special ability, but it's a mech. And Tinkertown Technician, Battle Cry, if you've got a mech, get +1/+1 and get a spare part. And Earthen Ring Farseer, 3 awesome cards. Which one do you like the best, Trump?
Man, we got some serious value here. So 3 mana, 3/4 is going to just be good by default. We've seen how good it is in Priest Dark Cultist. And even if the Priest Dark Cultist didn't have a death rattle, I think it would still be good. In this set, mechs actually matter. So I think the Spider Tank is a really strong pick. Of course, the Tinkertown Technician is also super value. 3 mana for a 4/4, and you get a spare part for some extra value, in case you already have a lot of mechs. So for here, my choice would depend based on how many mechs I already had. But I'd want to pick both.
Both would be nice. So many arena runs where I want to pick both. What about you, Hafu?
I'll take all 3. They're all really, really strong 3-drops, some of the strongest neutrals. But I agree with Trump. I mean, if you just don't have mechs, then there's no point in picking the Tinkertown. It's just a 3/3 for 3, and you're obviously going to take a 3/4 for 3. So.
Well, another pick that depends if you've got mechs. You look. One thing you do a lot in arenas, like look what you have, look to see if the card you're choosing affects what you have, and this is an excellent example. A lot of value in these picks. Is there any time you guys would pick the Earthen Ring Farseer?
I don't think with this set. Like the mech, the 3/4 is just so much stronger, I would say, and the Technician has a lot of upside.
What if you have like 2 Akanais and multiple Northshires and injured Blade Masters? You would take the Earthen. Don't tell me you wouldn't take the Earthen.
Okay, maybe in that exact scenario.
There we go.
Look at your combos. All right, next we have Unstable Portal. These are spells, mage spells. Unstable Portal adds a random minion to your hand, and it costs 3 less. Unstable Portal costs 2. Flame Cannon deals 4 damage to a random enemy minion. And Arcane Missiles, the card you know. What would you pick here, Hafu?
I actually really like Unstable Portal. At first I was kind of unimpressed, but I think if you really think about it, the tempo swing that you could potentially gain could just end the game. Like on turn 3, you could play a 6-drop, like a Fire Elemental, and then the game would end. So I don't know. I think I would have to pick the Unstable Portal, and it's just too much fun as well.
Yeah, it definitely is a lot of fun. You can get any class card like Fire Elemental, but you know what else you can get? You can get a Wisp, and I'm really sad when that happens. I did a few calculations since that's necessary in order to understand like how much variety there is and what you can get. And there's like 1/3 of the cards of minions are actually 2 or less, roughly, not counting this set, which I haven't been able to include yet. And then like 10 to 15% of the time, you're going to get a 1-drop, which means you're going to be really sad. So the portal is a bit too random for my effect. Like sometimes there just isn't that good an effect, although I admit that sometimes you can get a really good effect. So I choose the Flame Cannon, where you can actually really control the randomness. As a mage, you can do something like Flame Cannon and then Fire Blast to really efficiently deal with one of those turn 4, 5 health plays. I think it's a really strong card.
What about you, Hafu? What would you pick here?
Definitely Unstable Portal.
So Unstable Portal.
33%, that's just 1 in 3. I mean, 2/3 of the time, you're going to get something better that you can play and just push your tempo advantage. So, I mean, if you get a Wisp, you're really sad. But, I mean, what are the stats on that? Right?
Sure. I like that when they pick different things. It makes me wonder, like, you know, when I'm going through, which one should I pick? Which one's best for my deck? Unstable Portal, they both seem awesome. They both seem like a lot of fun. Next, we have legendary cards. We got Dr. Boom. His battle cry is to summon 2 1/1 Boom bots. Blingtron 3000. He equips a golden weapon for each player.
Golden?
Yes, actually, he's Blingtron. Of course he summons golden weapons. Even when he's not golden, he makes golden weapons. And Harrison Jones, a card that destroys weapons. What would you pick here, Trump?
Well, I mean, I don't think I even need to know what a Boombot is before I pick Dr. Boom. But let's see what a Boombot is first.
All right, I'll show you. Here we have Dr. Boom and his 2 Boombots. He summons 2 as his battle cry. They have a death rattle to deal 1 to 4 damage to a random enemy. Could be a minion, could be the enemy player.
Wow. Well, now that I see what a boombot is, that is super value. You get a 7 mana for roughly a 9/9, and those boombots also do an additional damage, so maybe more like a 11/9, 12/9. That's good stuff. From here, I think the Blingitron is like way too situational to pull off successfully in Arena. It's at its best when your opponent already has a weapon. And in that case, I would say Harrison Jones is better than Blingitron, since the amount of benefit you get when you destroy their weapon and draw cards is really huge. But definitely Dr. Doom.
Dr. Boom sounds awesome. What about you, Hafu?
Definitely Dr. Boom. I love this card. It's going to be really fun. I'm pretty excited for it. I agree. Blingtron and Harrison Jones are just going to be too situational. So Dr.
All right,
Boom
cool.
is just good.
It was a nice note that, like Trump said, Blingtron also destroys your opponent's weapon when it replaces it with a new one, so it's a little bit more value there. All right, great. Let's go on to the next one. We have 3 different spells here. Velen's Chosen, a priest spell, gives a minion +2/+4 and spell damage +1. Bouncing Blades, a warrior spell, deals 1 damage to a random minion, and you repeat that, bouncing around the board until it finally destroys 1 minion, and then it stops. And Blessing of Kings gives a minion +4/+4. What would you pick here, Hafu?
I think I'm all about combos in Arena, and Bouncing Blade seems super fun, especially if you have, Commanding Shout, maybe like a Frothing Zerker, and then you charge that Frothing Zerker. Oh my goodness. I think Bouncing Blades would be really fun if you have the cards to kind of back that up. But if not, I would say, I think Velen's Chosen is actually, I think they're all around the same. Probably Velen's Chosen if I had to pick one.
What about you, Trump? Do you have a strong preference?
The first time I saw Bouncing Blade, I was so happy, and I was going to just pick that every time. But it just turns out that in Arena, I think when you can set up the situation where you have almost nothing and they have a lot of things, or they have one big thing, that's where Bouncing Blade is at its best. Might be more of a constructed card. So I'm going to have to lean towards Velen's Chosen here. When you're a priest, getting an additional health buff on your minions is really strong, since you can just keep them alive and heal them. And it's really rare to have plus attack on priest as well. So you play that on your 2-drop, and maybe it can just become a slayer and then just kill everything and you keep healing it. And I see a lot of good things with that.
Okay, yeah, Velen's Chosen makes a lot of sense because you can heal it. Bouncing Blades obviously has a lot of combos, like Hafu mentioned. Minions that get bigger when they take damage, along with Bouncing Blade, would be awesome. Next we have Upgraded Repair Bot. This is a priest minion. Gives a friendly mechs only, +4 health. Matter Bomber. When Battle Cry deals 6 damage, randomly split between all other characters, just like Mad Bomber, but twice as fun. And Abomination. What would you pick here, Trump?
So I actually was browsing some statistics about Hearthstone Arena the other day, and it turns out that one of the best cards that like people who go 12 wins go is quite surprisingly Mad Bomber. So I actually think Matter Bomber is an excellent card as well. If you're behind, you can actually play it to catch up in the game, which is very important, and you can do it with all sorts of other combos as well. So like the best case scenario is you play that when you have no minions out and they have a lot of minions out, and it's almost like you get a 5-mana 5/4 and you get almost an Avenging Wrath on top of that, so that's really good. Still though, I have to just choose the Priest card here, which is a 5-mana 5/9 in value. Really tough to pass that one up.
So much value. What about you, Hafu?
Yeah, if you have a lot of mechs in your Priest Arena run, I would definitely take the Upgraded Repair Bot. It's kind of hard not to. Health buffs in general are pretty ridiculous, and then on Priest you can just keep healing your minions and then you get infinite value. So I agree, Upgraded Repair Bot.
All right, so if you need some catch-up cards, Matter Bomber, maybe Abomination, and if you have mechs, definitely Upgraded Repair Bot, works great for priests. All right, second last slide, we have Enhanso Mechano. This guy's crazy. His battle cry gives each other minion a random buff, either Wind Fury Taunt or Divine Shield. And Piloted Sky Golem. The piloted mechs, we talked about them before, but the pilot comes out in a parachute and he just like parachutes down into the board. So it's super fun to watch. And this one summons a random 4-cost minion when he dies. And Big Game Hunter. What do you think of these cards, Hafu?
The piloted Sky Golem looks so fun. I'm all about these random cards. And you can go piloted Sky Golem into piloted, was it Shredder? The piloted.
Yep, piloted Shredder, piloted Sky Golem.
Yeah, piloted Shredder 4-mana thing, and then you get a 2-drop, so it's really cool. But I think the Enhanso Mechano is a cool idea, but I think you have to be ahead on the board to really utilize it. And if you get the taunt, you're probably going to be sad. If you get the Wind Fury, you just randomly win. That's kind of cool. But I think piloted Sky Golem is similar to Karen, and it's just really annoying to deal with and pretty fun as well.
What about you, Trump?
Yeah, I definitely agree on that note. The Enhanso bot is just so much of a win more card in Arena, I would say, just because you have to play it when you already have a lot of guys out. And that's kind of the opposite reason on Matter Bomber, where Matter Bomber is better when you play it when you're behind. I think a card that's good when you're ahead is not as good. And we're going to see a lot of parachuting coming up soon because all these piloted cards are really amazing. Like, I think this card is debatably better than even Karen Bloodhoof, which is one of the most ultimate value cards in Arena already.
Wow, better than Karen? Why do you say he's better than Karen?
Well, this random 4-mana minion, like on average, it's going to be somewhere around a 4/4 when you total up all of the 4-mana minions you can get. Some of the best ones you can get are really good, like Pit Lord, which is a 4-mana 5/6 with no battle cry to hinder you. And there's not many that are too bad other than, say, Summoning Portal.
Yeah, Summoning Portal. Maybe good if you have a full hand. All right, cool. Sky Golem sounds really good. Enhanso Mechano better if you've got a lot of minions in play, which doesn't always happen in Arena. And our last slide, we have 3 legendaries again. We have Sneed's Old Shredder. It's the 3rd card in the piloted cycle. We have Mechgineer Thermoplug. Oh, sorry, let me read Sneed's. Death Rattle, summon a random legendary minion. And it's a huge mech. We got Mechgineer Thermoplug. Whenever an enemy minion dies, summon a Leper Gnome. It's going to fill the board with Leper Gnomes if you're in the right position. And Deathwing, a classic card. What do you think of these, Hafu?
I think they're all really fun. I think Sneed's Old Shredder is too good to pass up. But if my curve is super, super low, I might go with the Deathwing just because I feel like Deathwing just wins games. I mean, your opponent can never expect a Deathwing. And yeah, I probably would go Sneed's Old Shredder in most of my arena runs, though.
All right, yeah, Deathwing is definitely not something you expect. What about you?
That Deathwing is so cool. I love thinking it at Arena. It's like constantly moving up my personal list. But here, I think we might see one of the best legendaries in the game coming up right here, Sneed's Old Shredder. The value you get off of that is insane. So it's 8-mana, 5/7 already. And when you calculate the average attack and health of a legendary card, a legendary minion, it's somewhere along the lines of like a 5/6. So I'm just going to add that straight up to there. And that means it's an 8-mana, 10/13. And on top of that, most of the legendary cards have a cool effect also, like Death Rattle sometimes, or something special like Sylvanas or Karen. Then the best case scenario for Sneed's Old Shredder is so big. They kill it, and then you get Kel'Thuzad, and then you resurrect Sneed's Old Shredder. Or you get Sneed's Old Shredder, and so your Sneed's Old Shredder just keeps getting Sneed's Old Shredders, and that's insane.
Yeah, Kel'Thuzad into resurrecting Sneed's Old Shredder would be insane. Sounds like a lot of fun. All right, cool. Thanks for talking about those cards. Now that you've seen Goblins versus Gnomes cards over the last couple days, and we just talked about them, what do you think about them? Happy, why don't you start?
I think they're going to be really fun. I'm really excited to play these in Arena when they come out live. And I think that a lot of... I think the silences are going to go up in value by a lot. These Death Rattles seem pretty ridiculous. And I feel like Shaman and Mage are going to get even better in Arena, just because Shaman has Hex and Earthshock in their kit, and Mage has Sheep, as we all know.
And what about you, Trump?
Yeah, I really look forward to all of the smaller value plays you can make. Those spare parts, even though they aren't any real card, like I even only value them as 1/3 of a card. When you can make use of that 1/3 of a card effectively, sometimes it's as good as a card, and that's getting really good value. I like a lot of the Death Rattle summon a random minion cards because that means you're going to have to really think on your feet. And even though it is randomness, like, it makes you, there is a skill to having a lot of branching decision trees and knowing like what can happen and how to best take advantage of a very unusual situation.
Cool. Yeah, I'm very excited about this. Goblins vs. Gnomes comes out next month. It's the first Hearthstone expansion. It's got tons of fun stuff. There's only been 25 of the over 120 cards revealed so far, so you're in store for a lot of new stuff, and it's coming very soon. Next, I want to move over to the arena. We're going to start choosing cards on a live game, and we're going to have our assistant, Dean, pick them for us after we make the decision on the laptop. Let's bring the laptop up on our screens. All right, first we need to pick a class. What do you like here, Trump?
Well, whenever I pick classes in Arena, I like to poll the audience on what to do. So why don't we do the same thing here?
Hang on. I'll do them one at a time. If you like Hunter, clap now. Clap if you like Hunter. All right, if you like Paladin, clap now. And if you like Mage, clap now. That's really close. What do you think? What do you think, Trump?
I think I heard Paladin more.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
All right, Paladin it is.
I thought Hunter was pretty close.
No one liked your Hunter there.
Okay, why don't you start, Hafu?
I think the first pick, I think I'd go Wild Pyro here, just because it is pretty ridiculous with the quality. I guess that's maybe too optimistic. I mean, it's a 3-2 for 2 with an upside. And Paladins tend to have too many 4-drops anyways, because you don't really pass Consecrate or Kings or Choose Silver or Hammer of Wrath, so.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. Violet Teacher is oftentimes better, but Pyromancer, because Paladin has a lot of 4-drops.
It's really good to remember that certain classes make different picks because they have other cards available to them.
And hey, this is one of those awesome 4-drops. There's like 4 really good 4-drops in Paladin, and this is one of them. Definitely pick them over the other 2 rather mediocre cards.
Definitely. Hammer of Wrath. Here, I would probably go Razorfen Hunter. Eye for an Eye is pretty meh, and Blessing of Wisdom is all right. You can kind of argue for it because we have the Wild Pyro, but even so, at this point, I'd probably just want the Razorfen Hunter.
Really? Okay. Well, I actually think Blessing of Wisdom is a really good card. You oftentimes you always get at least 1 card with it. Not always, but most of the time. And oftentimes, you're going to get 2 cards with it. You attack twice. Eye for an Eye is, of course, garbage. And I think Hunter's on the weaker side. So my choice would be Blessing.
I'm good with Blessing, mostly because I like the Pyro combo as well.
All right, Blessing and Wisdom Pyromancer is our first combo. Trump, what do you like here?
Let's see. We've got one of the best 2-drops here. I mean, we've got 2 of the best 2-drops here. I'm going to go with the Creeper as slightly better than the Ooze here, just because there's a lot of statistic value there. It's got a lot of stats, basically.
I definitely agree. Haunted Creeper is one of the most annoying to deal with cards that I've found. So even though Ooze is amazing, it's a 3-2 with a huge upside. I think
Would you ever
Creeper
pick
is still
Undertaker
better.
here?
If we're playing Hunter, I'd probably pick it like that. Actually, no, I'd probably still like the Haunted Creeper. But in Paladin, you don't really have too many death rattles in your kit. You don't have any death rattles. Oh,
Right.
Tyrion. Tyrion is your death rattle in
Good
Paladin's kit. So, not worried.
Hafu, you're first here. We're going to take turns going first.
Spellbreaker, for sure. I think Silence is getting better and better in Arena as there's more and more death rattle cards. And fits with our curve quite well. I'm a huge fan of Brewmaster, but right now, nothing really exciting to brew back. No battle cries as of yet.
Yeah, I'll agree with the Spellbreaker here. And once Goblins versus Gnomes comes out, like Hafu said, you're going to start picking this even more, I'd say.
Spellbreaker it is. We got Voodoo Witch Doctor, Eye for an Eye, and Direwolf Alpha.
All right, well, in this case, definitely choose Direwolf Alpha over the other 2 cards, which don't do anything.
Voodoo Doctor does something, thank you very much, but I agree. Direwolf Alpha is really good, even better on Paladin because your hero power creates minions. Bluegill Warrior, woo! We only have one death rattle. I don't think it's really worth taking Undertaker unless you can expect to have maybe 4 or 5. That's the way I kind of value that card. So I would take Bluegill Warrior.
Yeah, it's nothing exciting, but it's fine. Good enough, better than the others.
Bluegill Warrior it is.
All right, here I like the value of the Gnomish Inventor the most. Drawing a card is really important, especially in Arena, where a draw card is often in short supply. And I know a lot of people like the Spectral Knight. I think it's overvalued in Arena. To me, it's only slightly better than Spectral Smith.
I think it's a lot better than... is it Spectral Smith?
Sorry, Spectral Knight.
That is...
Wait, no, sorry. No, Spiteful Smith, sorry.
Yeah, okay, I was like, what? All right, I would go Spectral Knight here. You tend to face a lot of mages in Arena, and Spectral Knight is like a mage's worst nightmare. So
you would take Spectral Knight?
I would take the Spectral Knight, especially because, again, we already have 2 very good 4-drops. Paladins, we're going to take a lot more very good 4-drops, and we don't actually have a 5-drop yet. It's like a nice minion that doesn't die to Flame Strike. Woo! Yay!
Right.
Yeah, but we got Gnomish Inventor, which is a card that if it dies to Flame Strike, you've still got a card anyways. And I'd say overall it's better because, like, if you value draw a card at something like 1.5 mana, which is my approximate valuation, that's a 2.5 mana 2/4, which is great.
So even at the top level, people sometimes aren't sure what to pick. These people, obviously Trump and Hafu disagree here. Why don't you guys decide? If you like Spectral Knight, applaud now. If you guys like Gnomish Inventor, applaud now. I'm going to say Spectral Knight takes it.
Woo!
Oh,
Thank you guys.
lost value there, guys.
Here, definitely Haunted Creeper. The other 2 are on the weaker end. I think Noble Sack is fine, but I think Haunted Creepers, again, we talked about it. It's just too good to pass up.
Yeah, definitely Haunted Creeper.
Haunted Creeper it is.
Oh, hey.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, Mind Control Tech here for the reasons of, 1, it's a really good card. 2, we actually don't have any 3-drops. And I will also say that oftentimes in Arena, one of the mistakes I see people make is they're afraid of playing their 3-mana cards, which have some sort of battle cry effect. But you should play that on turn 3 if you have no other play.
Do you play Alder Peacekeeper on turn 3?
No, not that one, though.
Oh, okay.
Most cards.
I was just curious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. MC Tech is fine to play on turn 3, and it's really, really good when you're behind. So it's a nice catch-up card.
All right, Mind Control Tech.
Definitely Kings. The other 2 are pretty lackluster, seeing as we don't have any weapons. But even if we had weapons, I would take the Kings. We have a lot of little creatures that we can buff up. These Haunted Creepers are going to probably stick, and does kind of go well with the Wild Pyro. It goes well with the Bluegill, at the very least. You can charge out that 6/5 for that burst, but...
Yeah, that's a good point, pointing out the Creeper. It makes the Blessing of Kings so much better. One of the weaknesses of Blessing of Kings is sometimes you just don't have a target. But when you have those Death Rattle cards, you're so much more likely. And it's just better than the other 2 cards, so it's an easy Kings here.
Cool, so definitely take a look at what you have. If you've got Haunted Creepers, Blessing of Kings goes up in value, but in this case it was an easy pick.
Oh boy, okay.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the picks so far have been slightly straightforward because it's usually been 1 good card and 2 bad cards. So here we have the unfortunate circumstance of 3 bad cards. But in this case, like sometimes you have to make do with what you have. And the deckhand is possibly going to be okay because we will, of course, pick True Silver Champion if it comes up. And a 2/1 is better than a 1/1 Wind Fury, even though we have Blessing of Kings. And never pick Eye for an Eye.
I agree. With the changes now, especially the changes to the secrets, not being able to proc on your own turn, I think Eye for an Eye got a lot worse. So South Sea Deckhand, I don't think it's as bad as you think. As you guys know, we value 2/1s differently. I actually think they're fine in Arena. I definitely wouldn't be happy to take this, but not too unhappy.
All right, deckhand.
Well, we just got the South Sea Deckhand, which makes me like Light's Justice a little bit more. I'm not sure it's really worth taking over the Avenge, though. We do have Haunted Creepers. Again, we're going to have things that are going to stick on the board. And we do have the Wild Pyro. I think I would probably go for Avenge here. How about you, Trump?
I'm a little surprised that you had any hesitation. I think it's an easy Avenge. I actually have seen Light's Justice used to reasonable effect. In my opinion, if the card has gone up.
I've argued with you about that before. But yeah.
But still Avenge, yeah.
Well,
Avenge.
I mean, if we had maybe one other combo with a weapon, like if we had the Spiteful Smith, I really do think Light's Justice is fine. And I probably, maybe if we had 3 cards that combo with weapons, I'd probably take the Light's Justice.
So
I
Light
totally
Justice,
respect
not a
the
bad
way that,
card.
like, you see
Better if
value.
you've got Spiteful Smiths.
Yeah.
Pardon?
I was just saying Light Justice is not a bad card. Better than it looks. And even better if you've got Spiteful Smiths.
Yeah, if you have enough combos, Light's Justice gets quite good. And like if we had a quality or something that required us to need 1 damage somewhere, it's actually quite good. But yeah, Avenge here probably.
Avenge it is.
Let's see. We've got another Hammer of Wrath. That's really good. I tend to just pick up those 4-mana Paladin cards almost by default, unless there's something else that's really good. And in this case, the other 2 aren't as good as Hammer of Wrath.
Yeah, I agree. Even though our curve is a bit low, Hammer of Wrath is 4 mana in a cycle, so essentially it's even better. And Archmage isn't really going to get us that great value since we only have 1 Hammer of Wrath so far for spell power. So yeah, Hammer of Wrath.
I have a question about curve. About how far through the draft do you start worrying more about curve and less about individual card value?
Like halfway. I mean, I feel like you should always be aware of it. At the beginning, you can just clearly take whatever card is the best. But around halfway, 10 cards in, I start just noticing it, I suppose. It's the best way to...
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things which I'd say increases a lot in importance, especially near the halfway point. But sometimes, say by chance that your first 5 picks are all really good 3-drops and the other 2 cards are bad, then you start worrying on curve, like even on turn on pick 6. Then you get a good 3-drop against a slightly less good 2-drop, then you pick the 2-drop. So it always is a consideration.
All right, we'll start looking. Hafu, what do you got here?
I'm looking at the redemption. Maybe we have 2 Haunted Creepers, but that's probably still not worth it. I would definitely take the Ancient Brewmaster here.
Well, that's so cool that you considered the redemption. I actually didn't even consider it, but then
With
you pointed out the
Sunwalker,
creepers.
it just wins games. Unless they sheep, and then you're really sad you get 2 sheeps. But.
Right. Brewmaster, just because of the strongest individual card. Though the redemption is slightly better in this deck, it's true.
All right.
All right, so here I'm looking at our curve for the Questing Adventure, and we actually have a fairly low curve. There's Avenge, Blessing, the South Sea Deckhand, and we got one thing that I should point out already is that we've got our quota of 2s, I'd say. That's Pyro, 2 Creepers, Wolf, Warrior, so 5, and we're only about halfway in. So early game drops are getting worse. We have a good amount of spells. I would pick the Teacher here.
Yeah, I wouldn't even consider the Questing Adventure. I'd definitely go Teacher here.
You wouldn't consider it? I think it's especially good here just because our curve is low.
I mean, we have some 1-drops to fill in the blanks, and Violet Teacher goes already so well with the Avenge and the Wisdom. And it's just, we only have 2 4-drops. I mean, it looks like we have a lot of 4-drops, but Hammer of Wraths and Blessing of Kings aren't really minions that you can just play on turn 4. So, I like the Violet Teacher here. I would definitely go Archmage, even though we only have 2 Hammer of Wraths, and we're kind of sad, but the 7 health is more attractive than the 4 attack. Actually, this is actually kind of close. Now that the more that I look at it, the more I'm changing my mind. I think still I would go Archmage. I found that War Golem is really slow, and you get really, really, really punished by Big Game Hunter. I'd probably go Archmage.
One of the things that I really consider strongly in Arena is just having a good amount of late game. Right now, we've only got one card that's 5+, and kind of thank goodness we actually picked the Spectral Knight, because otherwise we'd have 0 cards. But still, that's kind of just by chance that we haven't gotten any good late game cards. In this case, I would go War Golem over Archmage, just because we lack so much late game that I want to get the most late game possible. And that's like 1 extra mana for 3 extra stats. I like that.
I think it's fair. I mean, Archmage is quite nice with Consecrate, but it's too slow to even make the argument. We don't even have one. So I think it's fine to take the War Golem.
Okay, War Golem it is.
All right. In this case, I would go with the Spectral Knight. It's 1 mana short of the Frost Elemental. Frost Elemental, by the way, is a card that I've started respecting more.
What?
I used to not respect it that much.
Frost Elemental is ridiculous. It's so good. I love that card. It's a huge tempo swing, and we have a lot of buff cards and a lot of things that kind of require us to need 1 extra turn. So I would 100% take the Frost Ellie.
Okay, I mean, that's good enough for me. I was also considering it just because we don't have any 6 drops, and it makes sense. I've always been the type of Arena player who likes to take things slowly, so I don't mind too much about the tempo swing of the Elemental.
All right, Frost Elemental. We're getting our much-needed late-game cards now.
I think I would take the Dark Iron Dwarf. No, we're not that worried about our curve. Again, the curve looks weird. I feel like Paladin curves always look somewhat like this, just because you don't really pass all the common 4-drops, as we always talk about. But yeah, definitely Dark Iron Dwarf. It's just the best card here by far. I'm hesitating just because we don't, like the problem with this deck is we're lacking straight AoE, and Unstable Ghoul does do that to some extent. Like all we have is Wild Pyro for AoE clear. But even still, I think Dark Iron Dwarf's value is too high to pass.
Yeah, I agree. The Dark Iron Dwarf is like the way I explain it to people is it's like 4 mana 4/4, and then it's actually 4 mana 6/4, and part of that has charge if you have a minion. So that's just a really strong card. Even better in Paladin, since you can buff your own minions with it, your tokens rather.
It seems like minions that buff other minions are really important in Arena.
Yeah, one of the things I will mention, though, is that it's often a mistake to take Shattered Sun Cleric when you don't have a lot of early game already, because oftentimes then it won't be so good. In this case, I would pick the Sunwalker. It's clearly better than... Divine Favor is just too hard to pull off in Arena consistently, and Blessed Champion is just a big finisher, which... the only thing we can really put it on here is the War Golem. And that would be amazing, but we want something that is independently good.
And then Blessed Champion. Oh my goodness, one-shot him. But yeah, Sunwalker, and we're a little sad that we didn't take the Redemption now. I really do think when you get the Sunwalker and Redemption, you literally just win the game. They can't deal with it. It's like a double Karen almost. That's what it feels like. Oh, here I would definitely take the Brewmaster. We're starting to get a couple battle cards that are nice. Frost Ellie and Spellbreaker, Dark Iron Dwarf, even Bluegill Warrior you can brew back for value, and it's just a 3/2 for 2, which is good.
Yeah, Youthful Brewmaster, 3/2 for 2 is good. It has upside in this, actually.
All right, Brewmaster.
I'm one of the most reluctant people to pick Ironbeak Owl. I don't value silence as much as others, and I hate 2/1s. But in this case, just because the competition isn't so strong, I mean, I'm even tempted to pick Blessing of Might, to be honest. But let's see, maybe I would pick Blessing of Might.
I would take Blessing of Might here.
All right.
I would easily take
Blessing of
Might here. We have Wild Pyro,
Might.
we have the Violet Teacher, we have a lot of... Pardon?
Sorry, go ahead, Hafu.
What?
What were you saying?
I don't remember.
All right. Sorry, we only have 5 minutes left, so Crump and Hafu are going to be going with their short answers now. What do you like here,
Tiger.
Hafu?
Yay, Tiger, go.
Yeah, easy Tiger. The stats are good. The other 2 are not so great. And we need more late game. In this case, Senjin, like Hafu said, the fact that we have so many 4s is a little deceptive. The Hammer of Wrath can be cast at any time, and we only really have Brew, Dwarf, Breaker, and Teacher for 4 drops.
Yep. Yep, Senjin, sorry.
Great, Senjin.
Bomber. We take Bomber and we're happy because he's a bomber.
Yeah, Bomber.
Bomber's an easy pick here.
Please.
What do you
it.
got, Trump?
Redemption, trust me.
Lots of talk about redemption.
I'm the type of player who doesn't value combos as much, so I would actually probably lean towards hand protection here. Now I know there's all these creepers and the Sunwalker, so if you insist, we'll pick the redemption.
I would take the redemption, and
All right.
I would
All right,
run with
redemption
that
it is. We'll have to play that some and find out how good it is.
It's also good with a tiger. Just saying. Guardian of Kings, because we need more big creatures. I think Hammer's great, but we're probably going to be pretty stocked up around the 4s. And yeah, it's a big, hefty creature. It's nice.
I pick Hammer of Wrath here because, like, even though it doesn't cost as much mana as Guardian of Kings, it actually deceptively does cost as much mana because you draw the card and then, like, you play the card, you draw, and the Hammer of Wrath is just so strong.
You get the 5/6 on the board, and also I really like the battle cry. I think health should be valued a bit more. I've been able to rush my opponents down a lot, and I think, like, sometimes when they just have the healing, you just can't finish.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think the stats are that great, but okay. You win that one. No Mush Inventor.
No Mush Inventor.
Everyone loves No Mush Inventors.
Blessing of Kings.
Blessing of Kings.
The other two are terrible.
Yep.
All right, easy one here. Look at all of our 4-drop.
And then...
Our last pick.
Ooh.
Ooh.
All right, how many spells we got here? We got Avenge, Might.
I don't think we need more card draw. I would just
Redemption.
take the Holy Wrath. And it is kind of a card draw. I started valuing it a little bit more, and we have mostly 4s. I think the curve is fine to take it.
No, look at all the early game spells we have. We've got 4 1-cost spells.
But you don't need more card draw. We have plenty with 2
What do you
Hammer
mean? You
Wrath.
always need more card draw.
You don't always need more card
The
draw.
more card draw, the better. This is like one of the
You
best
always
scenarios
need
I've
card
ever
draw.
seen Gadgets in.
Holy Wrath.
Look at all the 1-drops we have. You don't pick Holy Wrath there.
You're gonna just Gadgetzan, coin, Blessing of Might, your Gadgetzan? Like, what?
Like, you can Gadgetzan coin Redemption or Gadgetzan coin Avenge or Gadgetzan coin Blessing of Might something else. Like, looking at all the low cost
Holy
we
Wrath
have.
is
1
a
and
card
2.
draw.
It is a card draw, but sometimes it's going to do 1 or 2 damage.
I mean,
like, you didn't
and
pick
you're
Hammer
relying on the
of
coin.
Wrath against Guardian of Kings.
Guardian
How
of
can you
Kings is
pick
a
it
7 draw.
Gadgetzan Auctioneer is like a 10 draw given our.
All right, let's have the audience
10
decide.
draw, we don't have that many. It's 4, and you don't really want to
If
play
you agree
them.
with Hafu and you want to pick Holy Wrath here, applause. And if you agree with Trump and you would pick Gadgetzan Auctioneer for value, applause.
Yeah, value.
All right. Get the Gadget.
And if you would pick Mana Addict and agree with that. All right, we've got our deck. What do you think about our deck, Trump? How will it do?
All right, so we have a sufficient amount of early game, I think. We've got the Brew, the Pyro, the Bomber, 2 Creepers, Direwolf, Bluegill. So that's 7. We got the Hero abilities. This is one of the classes that doesn't need enough. So we got the early game handled. We got enough late game because even though it looks like we don't have that much, the Hammer of Wrath counts as late game. You get the draws. We've got a good amount of cards that can just keep floating. I don't think we got a very particularly strong arena, like nothing too insane, no consecrations, no true silvers. So ultimately, this is just a reasonable deck. I would guess this deck would go 7, 8 wins.
Yeah, I was going to say 6 through 8 with a pretty good chance of going like 10.
Yeah, I could definitely get up there.
Yeah, I think if you do the right combos, you can just... I'm telling you, Sunwalker Redemption, try it. It's ridiculous.
Oh, I imagine it'll be great when that happens, yes.
Thank you, Trump and Hafu, for helping me with my arena deck. Now I have this saved on my account. I'm going to get 4 wins with it. Thank you all for coming and checking out Arena. I hope you go and play it and you play some Goblins versus Gnomes. Have a good BlizzCon.
Thank you for attending the Hearthstone How to Become an Arena Legend panel. Up next, the Making of Reaper of Souls panel.